Okay, here, y'all, here we are again, going back to studying some more of the Element 2 for the Amateur Radio Technician license. Going over some of the questions and trying to talk a little bit about it to help some of it make sense. Alright, I just had the first question that I wanted to talk about and I lost it. There we are. Alright, what should you do if another operator reports that your station's 2-meter signals were strong just a moment ago, but now they're weak or distorted? And this is a problem I've had and is very prominent on 2 meters. Okay, 440 as well. All the V and UHF frequencies will have this problem. The correct answer is try moving a few feet or changing the direction of your antenna if possible, as reflections may be causing multipath distortion. Back when I was still in Battle Creek using the Baofeng to talk to the local guys on the 2-meter net, etc., I'd be holding the Baofeng in my hand or the speaker mic and then the radio up like this. They would tell me that I was soft getting into the repeater. Okay, I could literally turn just like this in my chair, key again, and be solid. It can literally be that fickle, honestly. Happened to me on more than one occasion. So yes, it does happen. Alright, why might the range of VHF and UHF signals be greater in the wintertime? And the answer here is less absorption by vegetation. Yes, this is true. The leaves on the trees, the vines, the bushes, etc. can absorb signals from the VHF and UHF range. They can do it. What antenna polarization is normally used for long distance weak signal CW and sideband contacts using VHF and UHF? Most of these guys are horizontal, and that is the correct answer for this study question. You'll occasionally find guys vertical, but the vertical guys normally tend to hang out on FM, simplex through repeaters, things like that. The horizontal guys, CW inside. What can happen if antennas at opposite ends of a VHF or UHF line of sight radio link are not using the same polarization? And the answer here is signals could be significantly weaker. If you're vertical and the guy down the line is horizontal, there can be a significant loss of signal. Even on the HF bands, but this is asking about VHF and UHF. Yes, it can be pronounced for line of sight. Y'all need to be same polarity, either vertical or horizontal. Okay, when using a directional antenna, how might your station be able to access a distant repeater if buildings or obstructions are blocking the direct line of sight path? And the answer they give here, try finding a path that reflects signals to the repeater. Yeah, you can literally bounce signals off buildings, trees, all sorts of things. What is ironic, where I live here, there is a bluff line. If you look at a map of the city of St. Louis, you come east 9 miles into Illinois, and there's a bluff. Runs sort of northeast to southwest. Go down into the town called Caseyville or Fairmont City or East St. Louis. They are below this bluff. But then you start going east into Fairview Heights, O'Fallon, Belleville, etc. On the other side of this bluff, or on the high end, setting back a little bit, that topographical change plays havoc on VHF and UHF signals. Guys down in the holler over here in Caseyville, etc., have a hard time getting into the repeaters over in O'Fallon, East Belleville, going over that way. It is a real problem. Okay, what term is commonly used to describe the rapid fluttering sound sometimes heard from mobile stations that are moving while transmitting? This is called picket fencing. Have heard it multiple times. What type of wave carries radio signals between transmitting and receiving stations? This is electromagnetic. Which of the following is a likely cause of irregular fading of signals received by ionospheric reflection? The answer here is random combining of signals arriving via different paths. And signals will take different paths to get to the same location. It is a wacky, weird phenomenon. And again, it can really mess with you. Alright. Which of the following results from the fact that skip signals reflected from the ionosphere are elliptically polarized? And the answer here is either vertically or horizontally polarized antennas may be used for transmission or reception. And believe it or not, there are antennas that are both. You'll see beams that have vertical and horizontal elements on them, and some that are pure circular. What may occur if data signals arrive via multiple paths? And this here is error rates are likely to increase. The computers really have a hard time figuring out then what is going on. Which part of the atmosphere enables the propagation of radio signals around the world? That is the ionosphere. This one I don't know that I agree with, but I'll give you what they say is the correct answer and what I think is the answer. How might fog and light rain affect radio range on the 10 meter and 6 meter bands? They say fog and light rain will have little effect. Debatable. It can have some. Well, this might be correct in little effect. There might be some more pronounced higher bands, but I've seen storm fronts have shoot up short skip on 10 meters. I've seen storm fronts do that. What weather condition would decrease range at microwave frequencies? And this is precipitation. Could be anything. Snow, rain, any of that. Ice. Alright. Coming to the next section here. I wonder if we've covered some of this. I know we've covered that one. We've covered that one. Let me back up here a little bit and go down a little bit and find something we haven't talked about. We'll come into the section dealing with some of the equipment, some of the terminology here a little bit, and discuss a little bit of that instead of going straight forward through. Which term describes the ability of a receiver to detect the presence of a signal? And this is called sensitivity. The higher the sensitivity, the better it can hear a station. And you'll hear us talk about one radio being more sensitive than another. This sensitivity is usually given in tenths of a microvolt. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 microvolts. It gets that tight. And what is a transceiver? A unit combining the function of a transmitter and receiver. I believe I've mentioned in previous videos that there are separate transmitters and receivers, and there were some lines years ago that made what we call twins, where it's a matching transmitter and receiver, and they went back and forth via a switch, so that when you keyed the transmitter, the receiver went to ground, so you wasn't overloading the receiver and making it squeal and all sorts of funky stuff. Which of the following is used to convert a radio signal from one frequency to another? This is a mixer. Which term describes the ability of a receiver to discriminate between multiple signals? This is selectivity. You tune across most predominantly the HF band, and you're apt to hear multiple signals at the same time. And this is why I mentioned in previous videos about having filters, narrow CW and narrow sideband filters, so that it will be more selective. The selectivity is the right answer here, and it's going to reject some of them nearby stations that you're hearing, so you can better hear the one you're wanting to listen to. What is the name of a circuit that generates a signal at a specific frequency? This is an oscillator. What device converts the RF input and output of a transceiver to another band? This is a transverter. You don't see many of these anymore. This was more prevalent years ago when guys that owned HF equipment wanted to get on VHF. They would buy a transverter to go on their HF equipment to put them on, say, 2 meters, 6 meters, etc. What is meant by PTT? And this is the push-to-talk function that switches between receive and transmit. The alternate to this is called VOX, or voice-operated relay. And this is circuitry within the radio to where the built-in mic of the radio or your microphone is activated by hearing your voice or something and automatically cues the radio by itself. And when it no longer hears you, it puts it back over to receiver. And these rigs had things like Vox delay and Vox sensitivity. Vox sensitivity is how strong the voice or whatever had to be before it would actually key the radio. Vox delay is how long the transmitter would be keyed before it would go back to receive. Which of the following describes combining speech within an RF carrier signal? This is modulation. What is the function of the SSB CW FM switch on a VHF power amplifier to set the amplifier for proper operation in the desired mode? What device increases the low power output from a handheld transceiver? And that's an RF power amplifier. You'll find that not only for handhelds but for everything. Amplifiers for your base station, for your mobile, etc. And that's just to get more power out of it so you can get better into the repeater or be heard better. With handhelds, this is more problematic though, because most handhelds will top out at about 5 watts. Some will have a little more, some a little less. But sometimes that can make it a problem getting into the repeater or being heard by your mag group, etc. Last question, and then I'm going to wrap it up and get it back into some air conditioning here. Where is an Rf Pre Amplifier installed? And that is between the antenna and the receiver. And all this does is amplifies the incoming signal and sends it down to the receiver so you can hear it better. That's all it do. Alright folks, we're going to wrap it up here for now. We'll be back in our next session going over some more questions. Any more questions, comments, etc., put it down in the comments section and we will carry on from there. Love y'all. Talk to y'all later. Jimbo out.